Good afternoon. I'm Rick Marshall, the president of Vertical Geo. Vertical Geo is a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business in O'Fallon, Illinois, specializing in the creation and integration of geospatial data. This presentation is on using OpenDroneMap as an open source alternative to DroneDeploy, Pix4D, or MapsMadeEasy. And it's based on what we've discovered during the last 2.5 years of using OpenDroneMap, which is also known as ODM. How many times do you think about trying to use open source software as an alternative to overpriced proprietary software that costs way too much money and then under-delivers? We believe OpenDroneMap is a great alternative to overpriced proprietary UAS orthophotography software like DroneDeploy, Pix4D, and MapsMadeEasy. As I mentioned, Vertical Geo is a small GIS, surveying, and UAS services company, and we're not affiliated with ODM, but we are just constantly on the search for the best ways to get value for our dollar and the best fit for our workflow. We were a DroneDeploy and Pix4D customer for about 5 years, and then the pricing and licensing for both software platforms got outrageous. We started looking for alternatives, and we think we struck gold when we started testing ODM. We have been using it exclusively for the last 2.5 years. We don't have any developers on staff at Vertical Geo. We're all primarily software users. So we weren't really interested in any of the command line capabilities or the many different ways you can use ODM. We have primarily been using the web version of ODM called WebODM. It presents a friendly web-based user interface for processing, visualizing, storing, analyzing, and sharing your UAS collected imagery. And these are the primary parts of ODM that met our needs. If you're more into programming, there are an endless list of resources inside ODM for you to use. Like I said, we don't have any programmers or anyone who is comfortable writing code. We know GitHub has a large area for ODM users to get information. And we use the one-time purchase of the business installer to get going. Our IT manager installed ODM on our physical server and told me it was a very easy install. Last year, we decided to move off of our physical server and moved all of our data and software from our physical server to the Microsoft Azure cloud. So we now run this system on cloud storage, and it works even better in the cloud. So why would we use ODM? There's a couple of reasons. One of them is because there's lots of capability with a great interface. Another reason is WebODM is free to use. And the documentation is very robust and well written and includes tutorials for use and good step-by-step installation instructions. Another thing about ODM is differing levels of security. And each person defines security a little bit differently, but we work extensively teaching FAA Part 107 commercial UAS certification courses to emergency responders. They're very concerned with data security and may not want to share their data with others due to security. So they may find it more beneficial to use their own server and host their own data. But a small business like ours focusing on UAS services or a young company just starting out may not have the resources to purchase or maintain your own server. So it might make sense for them to choose either a self-hosted cloud-based solution or a turnkey third-party solution. Another reason we like using ODM is licensing restrictions. Our local municipality must purchase separate proprietary GIS software licenses for their Public Works Department and their Board of Education. They can't really share licenses. Well, that's not a problem with ODM. There's no restriction in sharing ODM with others. There's no licensing restrictions. You can have as many users as you want. The limiting factor is how many users does your administrator want to manage. So, if you want to, you can start a UAS services cooperative in your area and share the expense for a system between several businesses if that's your desire to cut costs. Proprietary software like DroneDeploy or Pix4D places limits on the number of users, and that limit is normally one user. So it's hard to share licenses without breaking the software licensing agreement. You can share your imagery. With ODM, you can even share your imagery freely with whoever you want through either a public viewer or through downloads. ODM has a lot of capabilities. This is just a partial list, but in my opinion, the capabilities of ODM are very, very similar to DroneDeploy, Pix4D, and MapsMadeEasy. ODM also has a very robust measurement tool, and it includes all these other capabilities. ODM has a robust online documentation web page. Their documentation will guide you through step-by-step installation on many different platforms, and they even have a section on using containerization, such as Docker, what we use. These tutorials will get you up and running and producing very quickly, and they have an extensive list of training tutorials to get you through the learning curve rapidly. I thought I'd share a couple of recent projects with you so you can see the look and feel of the user interface and the deliverable product with ODM. I wanted to do this live, but it's very difficult to do this in a presentation. So we just did this with some screenshots. The first project is a church overview map from May 2023. The church had very few requirements. They only needed a very simple aerial photograph for a church business meeting. So we just collected as little data as we needed. We used a bidirectional flight path. We didn't use any type of a cross-hatched pattern. We took a total of 351 images. We collected, stitched, and orthorectified them in ODM. And we flew low enough that we got a 2-centimeter pixel resolution or ground sample distance. Total flight time was about 30 minutes with a processing time in ODM of 1 hour and 18 minutes. And this map is located on our public viewer at the link on the slide. I want to give you a warning though. We're a small company, and one of the reasons we looked at ODM was trying to save our company money. So when we're not using ODM, our ODM processing virtual machines, we shut them down. We use very powerful processing virtual machines. When we do use them, we have a default setting to shut down at 7 p.m. each evening, so we don't forget to shut them down at night. We found this is the most cost-effective way of using ODM for us. So if we're not using it and we don't have a customer who needs to look at deliverables or orthophotography, we normally shut the VMs down and save ourselves a few dollars. Now, on your system, you can choose to let it run if you want to, so that imagery is always available, but we choose not to let it run if we aren't using it. It should be up and running the rest of today until 7 p.m. And we use it frequently, but if you don't If you're not able to get through using the link, it's probably because it's not up and running. And if you send me an email, my email address is on the last page of this presentation. We will turn the VMs on and go back and turn them on, and you can have access to the projects. This is a screenshot of the viewer on ODM. Let's just go around the viewer in a clockwise fashion, starting in the bottom left-hand corner. You can see at the very bottom left-hand corner a latitude and longitude readout. And just above that is a scale bar in feet and meters. And just above that is zoom in and zoom out buttons. And you can, just like any other GIS, you can use your mouse scroll wheel to zoom in and zoom out. And you can use your mouse to pan around the image. Okay, going up the screen, right above the zoom in and zoom out buttons is a full screen button. All the way at the top of the image, you see the name of the image, 2023-05-03 NCC. And just above and to the left of that is the name of our system. We call it our Vertical Geo UAS Mapping Portal. And in that margin on the left, going down from the top, the first link is to the dashboard. The second link is to the interface to use ground control points. They are usable in ODM. The third link is to the Lightning Network, and we'll talk about that in a few moments, followed by a diagnostic, processing nodes, administration, and about. Going all the way to the upper right-hand corner of the viewer, you can see above the image, you can select either orthophoto, plant health, or surface model in this case. And going down the right-hand side, you can add layers, and below that, the 4 rectangles is the base map, where you can select which base map you want to use. The plus sign is where you can add your own layer if you want on top of this. Just below that is the measurement tool. And below that, I'm not sure what the concentric circles are. And down the bottom right-hand corner, you can see the blue button is a share button, which will provide you with a web link that you can share with anyone to be able to view your product. And just to the right of that is a 3D button. Again, I mentioned that this project was not collected with a very dense data set. It will render in 3D, but it's not a great 3D project, and it has nothing to do with ODM. It has to do with the less dense data that we collected. So you can see in this this viewer, the church owns 2 properties. The church proper is in the upper right-hand corner, and down to the lower left is property that the church just bought to be able to expand. And this is what they wanted to show the church in the congregational business meeting. So I thought I'd go to a zoomed in version of the church building. And again, you can see the scale bars down in the lower left-hand corner. And I just zoomed in and dragged it to the church's location. And then I thought I'd also show you what the dashboard looks like. This is the dashboard, and it has the same menu going down the left-hand margin that you had on the viewer. But just to the right of that, once you click on dashboard, you have a list of projects. ODM always calls the top project first project. In the upper right-hand corner, you can add a project. So the one we were looking at is 2 projects down, the 2023-05-03 NCC project. And you can see all sorts of information on the project. First, you can see it was created on May 4th. You can tell which processing node it was using. You can see what the average ground sampling distance is and what the options are that we used. You can see the total area in meters, how many points it took, how much storage capacity it took on the disk. And below that is a series of buttons. The one on the left is download assets, and I clicked on that so you could see all the different things you can download on this project download button. Okay, anyhow, you have all your projects laid out on this dashboard. The second project is a neighborhood mapping project from April 2020. Again, this project had very few requirements, and actually imagery was not a requirement. We only collected the imagery so we could use it as the base map, a current and updated base map that was 2 days old when we used it, to extract a sidewalk layer and a building footprint layer for the municipality's GIS. Again, there were no other requirements, and we did end up delivering the imagery, but it wasn't a requirement. We used a bidirectional flight path. It was not any type of a cross-hatched pattern. It took a total of 396 images. We flew higher. It was a larger project, so we flew higher, and it came out as 7 centimeters for pixel resolution. Total flight time was about 30 minutes and processing time of 28 minutes. The map is located on our viewer at the same, not the same, but at the link in the bottom of the slide. But we do have the same caveat as the last project, and that is it may not be up when you go to look for it. If it's not, again, email me and we will restart the VMs and you can look at the project. So I went to the viewer for this one also, and you can see it's a larger project. The neighborhood that we imaged is down in the lower left center portion of the image. And again, the viewers are the same, except this one also includes a terrain model. The next one is a zoomed in version of that neighborhood. And again, this is what we use to collect sidewalks, sidewalk layer, and a building footprint layer. And here you can see the project's name was Parkview Meadows. It was created March 28th of 2020, or of 2023. The processing node, the options we had on, the average ground sample distance of 6.65 centimeters. The area is there, number of points, and the disk usage. It was actually less data because we flew it at a higher elevation just to be able to not be overcome with processing. And it was, again, 7 centimeters worked fine for the requirements that we had for the project. Okay, there's a very cool way to compare ODM to other software. ODM on their website provides a viewer where you can compare ODM against several other drone imagery processing software suites. You can go to the link on the slide and compare DroneDeploy, Pix4D, Metashape, DroneMapper, and Node Micmac with ODM. And it'll allow you to compare orthophotography and digital surface models across 3 different sites. It's a pretty interesting and amazing website. I don't know if Pix4D, DroneDeploy, MapsMadeEasy, any of those have ways to compare over the same site what other software would come up with for their solution. So I thought this was very helpful, and really ODM produces pretty much the same product as all the others. Very important to compare pricing. So last year we put together a proposal for the Army Corps of Engineers that would require us to do rapid drone ortho imagery processing in the field. And so rather than throw a server in a trailer, we decided to try and do it in the cloud. So we either thought we'd use, well, our first thought was we would use DroneDeploy, because we'd been using a customer for several years. So we took DroneDeploy, and we also took the Pix4D surveying and mapping bundle with the Pix4D cloud basic capability. And as you can see here, it just proved too costly. When we started using DroneDeploy, it was $99 for a business solution, which now is very similar to the enterprise solution. And you can see in even the advanced, which still only has one user, is $600 a month, $599 a month. They don't even advertise the prices for the projects and the enterprise level. Just unbelievably expensive. So when we looked at Pix4D, we took these prices along with the DroneDeploy ones off the website yesterday. These prices represent a 42% sale that was going on. Last year when we did the proposal for the Corps of Engineers, the software wasn't on sale. So we ended up needing the orange version of the software, which is the yearly subscription plus VI doc. And back a year ago, it was $7,900. So it's gone up $1,000 over the year. So I thought we'd compare it to MapsMadeEasy. MapsMadeEasy is much less expensive and in many ways very similar to ODM Lightning, but it runs on a point system, and I can't tell you exactly what it will cost for any given project. It's similar, their system is similar to ArcGIS Online's token system. And so here's my best estimate as to what it would cost to produce a project including about 700 to 750 images. We copy the MapsMadeEasy pricing template on the next slide, but as you can see here, to my best guess, it's between $35 and $40. So here's the MapsMadeEasy pricing matrix. And as you can see, it's a bit complicated to try and quote pricing for MapsMadeEasy. A lot of people are very happy with MapsMadeEasy and use it quite a bit, but I don't know how to use the pricing guide to tell what it would cost. To me, it's very complicated. Sometimes if pricing is different, whether you have a subscription or not. So it's just hard to, and there's 3 different levels of subscription. So pricing for ODM is pretty easy. If you own your own server, the software, the processing, and the storage are all free. Kind of hard to beat that. If you use web ODM, there's the Lightning Network. And it works similar to MapsMadeEasy, and it uses a token system similar to MapsMadeEasy. You have to do an initial purchase of about $200 in tokens to get started. And near as I can tell, Vertical Geo's church project would cost about $40 for processing. After you do the processing, you store the imagery and projects on your own system. If you install WebODM on a cloud-based storage system, you process and store the imagery in the cloud, in your cloud. You pay for processing on a VM, and you also pay for cloud storage for your imagery. There are third-party providers, including Vertical Geo, that can set you up with a turnkey system, if that's what your desire is. Get you up and running on ODM in the cloud. Here's our contact information. If you have any questions, if you want to understand how you can use ODM as a cost-effective tool, if you need help installing ODM, just call or send me an email. We want to help you. Or if you're interested in our turnkey ODM system, please don't hesitate to contact us. If you would send me your email address at rick.marshall@verticalgeo.com, I will be happy to send you a copy of this presentation so you can have a copy of all the information and all the links. And if you come talk to me after the presentation, I can give you a flyer describing our turnkey system and give you our special pricing. Are there any questions?